This is the Diamond Hawgs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
We're back, the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. If you haven't listened to this podcast, we are the premier Razorback baseball podcast. I'm your host, Mason Choate. I'm joined, as always, by Robert Stewart. We're part of the HawgBeat.com podcast network, HawgBeat.com. I'm the managing editor of HawgBeat.com. Robert has taken the title of baseball boy at HawgBeat.com. We also have producer Christian. He's off the camera. We don't want you to see his face, but we have producer Christian with us. He came on with us like midway through last year, and he came to Omaha with us. We had a great time.
I was about to say, shout out to those of you who listened in Omaha and got to see producer Christian's face.
He got to get on camera during Omaha. But this is the third season of the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. If you're not familiar with our work, what are you doing, first of all? And second of all, this is going to be your go-to every Monday, every Friday, and then every once in a while, like opening weekend, we will do game recaps, like right after the game, like short little 20-minute things. But we're very excited. We've had a lot of players on, a lot of former players, and we plan on doing that this year as well, including today, Tavian Josenberger.
Your new leadoff hitter.
And, everybody who listened to the podcast was familiar with the Zach Gregory, he gets on base, Moneyball clip. Tavian Josenberger is the new Moneyball guy. And so we plan on trying to make him a regular. We'll see if he wants to do it, but we want Tavian Josenberger to know that we're his guys, Like, nobody is going to support him on social media more than we will. Nobody supported Zach Gregory on social media more than we did, but he didn't want to come on the podcast, and he is now at Grand Canyon University. So
best of luck to him.
Wish him the best of luck. But we have so much to get to. We kind of have to preview the entire season on this episode because our next episode, which will be on Friday, we'll be previewing the College Baseball Showdown.
Can't wait.
We're so excited. We're going to be going to Arlington, courtesy of Matt Morris State Farm. He is back sponsoring the podcast again this year, and we love Matt Morris at State Farm because he's a proud supporter of the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. He's a University of Arkansas alum. He's a State Farm agent, and he is your good neighbor. But did you know that State Farm has surprisingly great rates, too? Yes, they do. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Matt Morris has surprisingly great rates for everyone, not just those in the central Arkansas area, which is where he's located, but in all of Hog Country. Give him a call, 501-568-3222. They also have life insurance, which helps your life's moments live on, whether it keeps paying the mortgage, maintains a current standard of living, pays off debts, pays for college. The life insurance you choose can be there when it's needed most by your loved ones. And you can get that with Matt Morris, State Farm. Once again, that number is 501-568-3222. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. All right. I think we need to lead off with the Jackson Wiggins news, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no other place to start. I mean, it's unfortunate to see, who you expected to be your ace go down for the second straight season. We were told Monday after the scrimmage at Baum that Jackson Wiggins was dealing with some soreness, and that was as specific as it got. And then, 2.5 days later, dude needs Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
Unfortunate stuff.
And I think the thing at the time when we heard it was soreness, I think they thought it was soreness.
Right.
From what we've heard from a credible source is that it started 3 weeks from, Thursday-ish, like about 3 weeks from there, prior to that. And it was just like soreness, tightness in the arm. He pitched the inning. He pitched one inning. That's all he threw so far in preseason scrimmages.
It's notable that every other pitcher who has started for the Razorbacks in calendar year 2023 has worked into the second inning. So
yes.
I didn't think much of it at the time, but, looking back at it, I guess it checks out.
Well, and also, he threw a bullpen a week ago, from what we were told. And they went and got an MRI with dye, which don't ask me what that means, but that's what they did. And it revealed that he has a torn UCL, and he's going to have Tommy John surgery, and he likely won't ever pitch for the Arkansas Razorbacks again.
And we will never see the Jackson Wiggins revenge tour that, it was shaping up. Like, I don't know it became apparent to me when the news broke and the initial reactions came out, but it became apparent to me that I don't know if everybody realizes how big of a deal this is. Like he was supposed to be the projected ace. Everybody knows about his velocity, but you've heard all off season really about how his off-speed pitches have developed. We talked to Matt Hobbs on Monday, and he was like, yeah, I mean, he's rounded out his arsenal. He's going to be a much more effective pitcher because, you know, hitters are going to be guessing against him. They were able to jump all over that fastball, even though it was, you know, touching 99 sometimes, because they knew it was coming. That was the only thing he could throw effectively. But, you know, he'd added a changeup, another off-speed pitch, I think, and maybe even a fourth. He was truly geared up to take on the ace role, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, you know, I mean, a lot of people, you know, like you mentioned, they were saying, acting like it wasn't a big deal. It is a big deal. The good thing, though, is that this is, according to Dave Van Horn, his deepest pitching staff that he's ever had. So, you know, if it was to happen to any team, any pitching staff, this is the one. But it's still unfortunate. You feel for Jackson Wiggins. It's a guy that you wanted to have, but Arkansas is still a potential College World Series team without him because they have 3 other guys lined up that will likely be the starters, and they're very talented. Starts with Hagen Smith, sophomore left-hand pitcher. You remember him for last year. He's got another year under his belt. Velocity, you know, is just as good, if not better. I mean,
he's added a cutter to his repertoire. We learned that from Tavian Josenberger on Thursday.
Tavian Josenberger. Will McIntyre, who on this podcast we have declared him as the 2023 Golden Spikes Award winner.
Yeah, you've seen all the NFL script memes. This is in the college baseball script.
It is. You know, and it's kind of working out. Like, if he's in the starting rotation, it could happen.
Matt Hobbs called him a head-on-the-pillow type of starter.
What does that mean? He'll put you to sleep?
You'll rest easy at night knowing he's on the hill, I think is what he meant.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, like, Will McIntyre, I just worry with the Golden Spikes campaign. He's not a high strikeout guy, and you got to have the numbers, you know?
Have an ERA better than Kevin Kopp's.
That's going to be hard if you're a starting pitcher. And then Hunter Hollan. Talented JUCO lefty. I mean, the MLB scouts rave about the guy.
He's already been drafted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I mean, I think he's a name that not a whole lot of Razorback fans know yet, but you will know him.
A lot of pro people have him on their radar. I mean, he's Woody Williams was the pitching coach at San Jacinto. A lot of people talk about him and his, you know, I couldn't name the guys that he's coached off the top of my head, but I know he's a big name in baseball. Just moved over to Texas or TCU because there'll be some sort of reunion in Arlington.
TCU?
Some sort of reunion in Arlington. But having worked under him, I think a lot of people are confident in Holland's abilities.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's another left-hander in the starting rotation. That's always good to have. And then you have a guy like Zach Morris coming out of the bullpen. I mean, Arkansas's pitching staff, like we mentioned, still deep. And, I mean, you have guys like that they added, like Cody Frank. Cody Frank, you know, he could spot start. He could be a long relief guy. Cody Adcock. Like this, we'll get into more of the pitchers. A lot of people want to hear about the lineup, too. A ton of new faces, only 2 faces that started last year, in Peyton Stovall and Brady Slavens, who, by the way, I think they're going to have huge years.
Yeah, why not?
I think Brady Slavens, everybody's talking about, you know, he's a high strikeout guy, can't hit the off speed. I think Brady Slavens is out to prove something this year.
Yeah, and I feel like he's probably taken some expectations off himself, too. Like, you know, at this point, he's old, right? Like, he's gonna struggle to get drafted. So I think part of his decision to come back, you know, it's like he's probably treating this as, you know, he's happy to be here, right? Have fun in your final year of eligibility. He knows his professional prospects are probably not what they once were. So I think if he's just out there to have fun, then you're going to see that in his statistical production.
I think it's the same case with Peyton Stovall too.
Right, he's taken expectations off himself as well, and I maintain that from watching him as a freshman in the fall of 21, I mean he's one of the most patient hitters I've ever seen at the plate. Like he's going to be a difficult bat to fight off at number 2 in the order.
Yeah, and we heard from Dave Van Horn that during that 2-week period that Peyton Stovall took off last year, him and Van Horn and Stovall had a conversation. It was really just like, take the pressure off, just go play baseball. That's all you got to do. And then you saw him in the postseason when he had that pressure off, when he was just playing baseball, doing what he's good at. He was one of the, I think statistically the best bat in the Arkansas lineup. So if you can get that Peyton Stovall, plus he's at, his natural position of second base, I think he's going to have a great year.
Where he looks great, by the way.
Yeah. It's tough to lose a Gold Glove guy in Robert Moore.
Sure.
Yeah, and those are huge shoes to fill. Now, is Peyton Stovall going to be Robert Moore? Probably not. Not in the field. Gold Glove winner. He's
still going to be an above-average guy.
Yeah. But Robert Moore was like pro-ready, and that's what we always heard was Robert Moore and Jalen Battles. Their defensive abilities translated to the pro level while they were at Arkansas. So let's get Christian in here. Christian, you haven't said anything yet. Go ahead.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to be back in the studio. It's been a long off season. I'm just glad we got baseball coming up soon. But one thing on Jackson Wiggins, I just wanted to bring up. It's the second year in a row that we've lost a potential ace. Peyton Pellett last year, and now Jackson Wiggins. And I know it didn't really affect the season because they obviously made it to the College World Series and went really deep. But how do you think that affects the team going into the season? Losing their ace, like I know people just have to step up, and like you guys have been saying, we do have a deep pitching staff, so it's not. I don't think it'll be much of an issue, but
right. It sucks, but like the blueprint's in place. Obviously, I'm trying to view this from an optimistic lens, right? But like you said, they did it last year. They know how to go through this.
Yeah, but that's another thing that you think about with last year's team, though. What if Peyton Pellett is healthy? Because they finished third in the country.
I hear what you're saying, but you still have to get all those hits against Dylan DeLucia.
You do, but also maybe you're not playing Dylan DeLucia because you already beat Ole Miss twice.
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, you can't really play that game. But
was it Zach Morris who started the first game against Ole Miss that they lost?
I think so. I think it was. And then who started the second one? Was it
Hagen Smith?
And he had a good start, didn't he? Because that was
5 innings with 1 earned run.
That was big time. Because at that time, Hagen Smith was the best closer in college.
Started again, had he?
I don't think he had. I can't remember the last time he had started, but he was the best closer in all college baseball for like a 2-week span in the postseason.
Well, because he had that one save against Oklahoma State. That's right. Yeah, Zach Morris did start that first game. Didn't make it out of the first inning, so they were forced to use 7 pitchers in that game.
Dang.
And they gave up 13 runs. So
if you have
maybe, I guess.
Here's the thing about Jackson Wiggins that people don't realize. Everybody thinks of the Jackson Wiggins that
you're used to.
Like one weekend you get him for 6 innings, the next you get him for a third of an inning, and he gives up 4 runs. He's taken that next step. Here's the thing about Jackson Wiggins: when we talk to people who know more baseball than we do, the word with Jackson Wiggins that you hear more often than any other word is effortless, and that's hard to come by. And that's why he's still going to be a top 5 round draft pick. If he was to throw this year and pitch above average, he was going to be a first round draft pick because he has all the intangibles, and it just comes effortless to him, which is why this whole UCL Tommy John thing was a big surprise to him as well, is what we're hearing.
Right, and with his draft stocks again, like let's look at history, right? Mark Adamiak, who did nothing of note for Arkansas last year.
Mark Adamiak, Arkansas cannot claim him, by the way, even though they do. He transferred to Missouri before he got drafted.
Yes, he did. But Mark Adamiak, who did nothing of note for Arkansas last year, was drafted during the 20-round draft because he can throw hard. Yep. Like Jackson Wiggins was already going to be drafted, and now that he's rounded out his arsenal more, like that does everything for him.
Yeah.
I want to read from our stat sheet from the fall scrimmages that we went to. Jackson Wiggins appeared in 6 games, started 4, posted a 0.75 ERA, which far and away was the best on the team.
Yeah.
He pitched 12 innings, whip under 0.6, by the way. 3 runs, 1 earned, all fall. 2 walks, 22 strikeouts. An 11-to-1 K to BB ratio.
Yeah.
Opponents hitting just 1 for 9 against him.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
16.5 K per 9.
But there's still going to be those people who are listening to this and they're like, okay, well, that was scrimmages against the same team, against the same batters he's seen over and over again, which is fair.
Right, and that's exactly why I'm not worrying about Zach Morris struggling in the fall.
Yeah, we got to get to Zach Morris's struggles. There's a lot to talk about.
There is.
A lot to talk about. That's what's so tough because we're going to have Tavian Josenberger on as well. So we got to hit this stuff quick, okay? We're gonna do this real quick. Preseason All-SEC, Peyton Stovall, Brady Tigert named first-team preseason All-SEC. Stovall, of course, first-team second baseman. Tigert, first-team relief pitcher. Both those guys, second-team All-Americans from D1 baseball. Preseason, of course. Arkansas picked to finish third in the SEC West by the league's coaches, behind A&M and LSU. I thought it was interesting. Does A&M return a lot? I don't know.
I honestly don't remember. I do know that they'll be in Fayetteville this year.
LSU, of course, we know they're loaded, but it's shaping up to just be like a repeat of Arkansas and
I was
Tennessee.
about to say, what's stopping them from being the next curse of the 1 seed?
Yep. There were some other preseason honors. Who else was named preseason All-American? Jared Wegner, I think that was from the College Baseball Writers Association.
Yeah.
Hagen Smith by maybe Collegiate Baseball. I don't have all this pulled up in front of me. Peyton Stovall and Brady Tigert. I think it was the 4 preseason All-American guys. Let's see what else. We're just trying to hit some headlines. Oh, I think Arkansas number 6 D1 baseball preseason poll, which is the only one that matters. You're not going to hear us sitting here.
There were 8.
Huh?
There were 8.
Were they 8? Okay. D1. I need to confirm this.
There were 6 and something, but they were 8 in D1.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Robert?
About 98%.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?
You want to ask me if I'm sure again?
I'm trying to fill some space while I look it up. Yes, Arkansas is number 8. Okay. Okay, number 8. D1 baseball poll is the only one that matters because that's the one that the NCAA uses. So we're not going to do any other stupid polls because college baseball polls are stupid, especially in the preseason.
Especially in the preseason.
I do not envy the person who has to go look at all these teams and decide who's going to be good.
And then get hate online for whatever you decide.
Yeah. Arkansas will play 10 regular season games on national TV. That's up from last year's 8. 2 will be on ESPN2 when they make the trip to LSU in March, which we have a tough decision to make there because it's like that's, I think, the second weekend of the NCAA basketball tournament. And we're assuming that Arkansas will probably be playing basketball that weekend, but we really want to go watch the LSU series.
I'll be going to Baton Rouge. It's a matter of if you're joining me.
Okay. So that's a predicament that we are in. I am in. Okay. Sorry.
The royal we.
Anything else that I should really hit? I don't want to miss some of the bigger headlines before we get into the nitty-gritty of the lineup and stuff like that. We good?
Yeah, I mean, we got our preseason guys. I mean, Wiggins is the only guy who's hurt.
Okay.
That we know of.
So let's just go down our projected starting lineup, and then we'll add some other guys that we think are going to play as well.
This is based on what we've been seeing the first 2 weeks of scrimmages this year.
I'll let you start.
Leading off, our guest later this episode, number 12, Tavian Josenberger.
Josenberger.
This dude is a high sock wearing, like prototypical leadoff guy. He is a switch hitter. Yes, he's a switch hitter. That's beautiful.
He is.
That's beautiful.
Switch hitting leadoff guy.
And I mean, really, the only thing you can say about him is he gets on base.
He does. I will say this. If you look at his stats from Kansas last year, take into account, keep this in mind, he had a back injury that he was dealing with. And go look at his freshman year stats when he was playing in center field, because he played infield last year. Now he's going to play center field for the Razorbacks. He hit over 300 as a freshman. He's not going to be like a super power guy, even though he said he's worked on it.
He's got some pop. He's sneaky.
He does. But I'm saying, like, this is just a dude who's going to get on base, which is why he's the Moneyball guy. I like Tavian Josenberger.
He covers a lot of ground in center field, too.
All right. In the 2-hole, this is our projection, by the way, Peyton Stovall. We kind of already talked about him. I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Hey, Christian, remember how you used to say Stovall's name? Just say it for the people. Come on.
Stovall?
Stovall. That's why. There's not a U in it. It's Stovall. Here's a guy that
Team captain Peyton Stovall, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. Team captains Peyton Stovall, Jace Borfin, Zach Morris. Okay. Here's a guy that I'm really excited to watch. Caleb Cali.
He'll have to make his DHP debut before too long here.
Yeah. Good talker. Good third baseman. Great bat. He transferred in from College of Central Florida, former Florida State Seminole. Then COVID stuff happened. He went to a couple junior colleges. I mean, he was a JUCO All-American last year. Comes into Arkansas. I think he's probably been the best, off-season hitter.
Oh, yeah.
Fall season compared or fall season plus the preseason so far here in the spring. Caleb Cali's probably the best bat on the team.
Yeah, let us go back to the fall stats for a minute. From the games that we attended and the stats we compiled, I have Caleb Cali as the team leader in batting average at .419 in the fall. And then his first, as of this recording, they played 5 scrimmages this calendar year. The first 4, he had multiple hits in all 4 games.
Nice.
I mean, the dude rakes.
He's a very talented hitter. He's also a very serviceable third baseman. If you're worried about that, he said, he told reporters he's played on the left side of the infield his whole life. He's worked a lot at third base this offseason, and I think he's going to be your starting third baseman. Yeah,
I haven't really seen any reason to believe otherwise. I was a little curious about his defense in the fall. I remember he dropped a what looked like a routine pop-up. But he's started at third base in every game this winter, and he's looked almost flawless over there.
Yeah.
And another thing to consider about Caleb Cali is the fields he's played on in the past.
Yeah.
The quality of playing surface in junior college, probably not nearly as pristine as at Baum-Walker Stadium and everywhere else they'll play in the SEC this year.
Yeah.
You got rocks in the field, you got a whole bunch of stuff to deal with that you won't be dealing with at Baum-Walker Stadium. It'll be easier to field the ball.
Yeah. And really anywhere Arkansas is going to play.
Exactly.
Not just Baum-Walker.
Exactly.
You're opening the season at Globe Life Field.
A Major League quality field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Brady Slavens. We got him slotted for cleanup. Christian, you want to give us your take on Brady Slavens?
100% healthy, by the way.
Expert Christian over here.
Yeah, Brady is one of my favorite players to watch in this lineup right now. I'm super senior, veteran, good leader, a lot of power from the left side. I guess he's pretty much going to be playing first base. I'm pretty sure that's solidified.
He will not be an outfielder as originally listed on the roster.
We got the roster, and he was listed as an outfielder, and we asked, and the answer was, yeah, he's an outfielder, and we were like, no, he's not. He's not. Okay, sorry.
So similar to Peyton Stovall, I think, like you were saying earlier, Brady should have a good year and be set up hopefully for a decent either draft or free agent signing after the season. But yeah, he'll lead us hopefully deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's got the opposite field power too, right?
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the 436-foot home run in Omaha to dead center field. And then we heard from Dave last month, said he was hitting the ball 400 feet the other way in January. So, don't worry about a hangover from the surgery or lingering rehab, because he's back to full strength for sure.
Okay. Before we move on, I need to remind you about Matt Morris, State Farm. He is a University of Arkansas alum, and he is your good neighbor because he provides you with surprisingly great rates. State Farm, car insurance, life insurance, whatever it is that you need, they provide it. And Matt Morris is the guy who's going to get it done for you anywhere in the state of Arkansas, not just specifically in Central Arkansas, which is where he's located. if you give him a call, 501-568-3222, you can talk about all of those options, life insurance, car insurance. I use State Farm. The rates are very great, actually. If you do the quote thing and get your quote from State Farm, I mean, they were cheaper than everybody. So, and they're great. I don't have to worry about it. If something goes wrong, they text me right away, and they're like, hey, we need you to do this. And I get it done. So you need to give Matt Morris a call, 501-568-3222. Get better rates and work with better people. Matt Morris, State Farm. All right. Up next, in the 5-hole, Jared Wegner, transfer from Creighton.
I think a lot of people are going to like Jared Wegner.
Yeah.
He didn't play much in the fall. He was dealing with I think it was a strained oblique. I know it was some sort of oblique issue. But he started the fall, he finished the fall, and now he's been slotting in the 5-hole. I mean, the guy has pop. He, like you said, played at Creighton, so he knows how to hit home runs at one of the ballparks that plays the biggest in the country. And you know, the surprising thing about Wegner to me is that he can run. Like, you look at him, you see his build, and you don't have him penciled in as a base stealer, but I believe it was Thursday's scrimmage. He stole, maybe not Thursday scrimmage, but he's been stealing bases.
Yeah. And Wegner is a guy that I think what you're going to get from him is he lets his play do the talking.
Yes.
He seems like a very quiet guy.
You heard Dave Van Horn say pretty much exactly the same thing. Like he doesn't need to tell you about what he can do. He just shows you what he can do.
And I think there's a reason he was picked as a preseason All-American. So Jared Wegner, you're going to be wanting to look out for him. And rounding out the outfield, so we got Josenberger in center, leading off Wegner in left in the 5-hole, and then in the 6-hole, Jace Borfin in right field. Jace Borfin, man, the Borifalorian. That's what we're calling him, the Borifalorian.
Jace Borfin, by the way, who on Thursday at the scrimmage hit an opposite field home run.
Jace Borfin, I think he's gonna have he's out to prove something after last year. He had the injury, ran into a wall.
In pregame.
And every time Dave Van Horn has talked about it, he just says
shakes his head over it.
I can't imagine how mad he was that happened to Borfin. And Borfin was mad about it too. It basically derailed his entire season.
Yeah. And
so now he's coming into this year healthy. We know that he's talented. We know that the scouts like him.
Scouts like him.
And so that's a big thing.
He had another productive summer in the Cape Cod League, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The Cape Cod. Him and Peyton Stovall, they were roommates.
Falmouth Commodores?
Yeah. They stayed at a host, like the same host house.
And now they're team captains together.
They are. So
romance ain't dead.
Okay. In the 7-hole, your starting catcher, Hudson Polk.
Yeah, this was a position battle that people had their eyes on, but it's become evident that Hudson Polk is going to be the go-to. I mean, Van Horn's told us that you're going to see both guys, but that's just how it goes with catcher. I mean, one guy's not going to play all the games.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. But Hudson Polk's the one with D1 experience, Power 5 experience. Not much, but,
he was a backup on a College World Series team.
Exactly.
So
and again, defense is huge with the catching position in Van Horn's eyes, and Polk appears to be the much cleaner guy behind the dish.
Yeah.
Throws out runners at a higher clip, fewer wild pitches and pass balls, so saves his pitchers some work, and he sort of controls the field. I
think it's tough from an Arkansas fan perspective for the people listening to this to go from Grant Cook, Casey Opitz, Michael Turner, and now a catcher that doesn't really have D1 experience.
Well, sure. But, I mean, Michael Turner was kind of an unknown before last year.
Yeah, but with Michael Turner, we heard that he should have been drafted. This guy's really good. And no offense to Hudson Polk whatsoever, but we haven't heard that.
I mean, the preseason comparisons are not the same.
No.
Sure.
And also, we don't know that Hudson Polk is 100% going to be your everyday starter. I think Parker Rowland,
right,
a JUCO transfer, has a case to get some PT. I just don't know how much.
Right.
I don't think he's going to be the opening day starter, that's for sure.
Right. That's, like I said, that's just the way it goes with catcher. The thing that Roland has working in his favor is that he's a switch hitter. He hasn't been super productive at the plate from what we've seen over the offseason, but if you need to change things up, then that's going to be a way to do it. Go to a switch hitting bat.
All right, we got 2 more spots left. We got the 8 and 9 hole. I don't think that we've really come to a conclusion. So you're looking at your shortstop, which is probably going to be John Bolton to start the season.
I have to imagine he's going to hit 9th.
Okay, so
Just
then
based on the lineups that I've seen.
So then we're going to go with Kendall Diggs in the 8 hole.
I'm cool with that.
As your DH, Kendall Diggs.
Yeah, Kendall Diggs has yet to play with the starters during scrimmages, but I would attribute that to Dave Van Horn wanting him to get outfield reps. This is something he said in the fall. That's where he sees Diggs playing professionally, so they want to get him used to that. And he's leading off the team of what appears to be reserves. So that tells you that he's very high on the list of guys who are in the running for that DH spot. And you know what? He's hitting the ball really, really hard. He had a couple of knocks Thursday. He had a couple of knocks Monday. I mean, he had a couple of knocks Sunday too. So he's got 6 hits in his last 3 games as of this recording. He's had some other ones that have been hit really hard that haven't fallen for hits.
Kendall Diggs, friend of the program.
Friend of the program.
He's been on this podcast before.
I hope he'll join us again. He's a great interview.
Kendall Diggs in your 8 hole, and in the 9 hole, your shortstop, John Bolton, transfer from Austin Peay.
Probably the most watched position battle of the offseason.
And most surprising, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of people were expecting Harold Cole to win the job. The guy from San Jacinto came along with Hunter Holland. Man, Harold Cole hits the ball hard.
He does, but John Bolton is the better fielder.
That is not what Dave Van Horn is looking for out of a shortstop. He wants the better defender. I don't think Cole is bad necessarily, but
I think he's raw.
Sure.
I think he's raw.
Sure. I think Bolton's probably ahead of him now, but Cole could have the better potential.
Yeah.
But like I said, Bolton's ahead of him now. Like, Bolton's making the plays that need to get made. Cole's not necessarily making errors, but all the plays that Bolton is making, he's not making, it seems.
Yeah. And the thing that I think, of course, the defense, but also Bolton has been hitting the ball.
He's doing enough at the plate to make sure he wins that job.
Yeah, it's not like Bolton is just like significantly worse at the plate as far as like output right now.
Right.
I think if we're talking potential, it's definitely Cole.
Sure. But I mean, the thing is, he's been hitting in the 9 hole for a reason. Like, he's relative to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
That's the weak link. Like, I hate to use that term, but
yeah.
You know.
Okay. So let's talk about some guys that could potentially find their way into the lineup at some point, because there are some.
We've mentioned Cole and Roland.
We have you have the 2 freshmen, Jason Jones and Mason Neville, who are very talented. I guess we can spend some time on them. Yeah,
I mean, Jason Jones has hit one of the hardest balls we've seen all fall. What, 117?
117 off the bat. Yeah.
400. I don't know how many feet.
The moonshot.
It was a moonshot. The dude hits the ball hard. We probably talked about him on the last episode because we were doing a post-draft, and it was a big deal that he didn't get drafted, as I recall.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can play both corner infields. That's where we've seen him so far. Looks fine in the field. Mm-hmm. And we know he's got a really powerful bat. So, he's one of those guys you probably expect to see in the midweeks so that he can get some reps. And he's going to be valuable. Maybe not extensively this year, but he's going to be valuable at some point in the future for this Arkansas team.
Yeah. Mason Neville, he'll play in center field if he's playing.
He's fast.
He's very fast. We haven't really. I mean, you can tell he's a freshman. Yes. You can tell he's really talented, but he's also a freshman. You've seen those freshman mistakes, but you've also seen those little sparks where you're like, okay, this dude's going to be good.
The first game we saw him play in the fall was incredible.
Yeah.
let me see if I can go back and find the stat line, because it was really remarkable. And then he had a patch during the fall where, he struck out about 9 or 10 consecutive at bats, and Dave always talks about this. He was like, oh, it's really hard here. He compared it to Caden Wallace's first fall. So, maybe that's not ideal because he went through a slump, but to earn a Caden Wallace comparison as a freshman, that's got to count for something, right?
Yeah.
Neville. He had a triple in his first game. He homered in his next game. I gotta find him. Anyway, he had a triple and a homer his first 2 games.
Okay.
So it was noteworthy.
Cool. We don't have a whole lot of time left, and we haven't even talked about pitchers yet. So we've got to other names to watch. Ben McLaughlin, you could see him get in at some point, probably DH, talented hitter.
Doesn't strike out.
No, he was a JUCO All-American last year. I think he was a Gold Glover too. I think he won the JUCO Gold Glove at third base.
Third.
I think it was third. Let's see, Peyton Holt, Reese Robinette, Hunter Grimes. Those are some other names that you should keep an eye on. I don't think we can talk about pitching staff because we still got to talk to Tavian Josenberger. So maybe we do that on Friday. Because by then we'll probably know the rotation. And then you go, I think we know the rotation. McIntyre, Smith, Holland in some order. But we'll get more out of this week, and then we'll talk about pitchers on Friday.
It sounds like a plan.
Because we got to get to Tavian Josenberger, and before we do, Matt Morris, State Farm. State Farm life insurance for all that matters to you. They provide that life insurance, and they also give you that great car insurance and those great rates. You can go get a quote from State Farm. Get a quote from Matt Morris because he's going to help you out here locally, not just in Central Arkansas, but all across Hog Country. Give him a call, 501-568-3222. Matt Morris, State Farm. He's your good neighbor, and he'll give you those surprisingly great rates. Once again, the number 501-568-3222. All right, here's Tavian Josenberger.
The Diamond Hawgs Podcast is the premier Razorback baseball podcast.
All right, we now welcome on Tavian Josenberger, transfer from Kansas. He's going to start in center field for Arkansas this year. Tavian, welcome to the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. First question, just let's start general. Why'd you choose Arkansas?
As soon as I entered the portal and Coach Thompson hit me up, I've always wanted to come to Arkansas. Even in high school, when they recruited me a little bit. They recruited me a little bit in high school, and I always wanted to come here, but it wasn't the right fit for me out of high school. Honestly, I don't think I was good enough. But as soon as I came on a visit, and I knew this was a place for me from the stadium, the college town, the coaches, the facilities, everything.
So you dealt with that back injury last year during your sophomore season. Can you tell us a little bit about how that affected your play on the field and how you feel so far this offseason going into 2023?
Yeah, I'd say I started feeling it pretty much halfway through the season. Just played through it, and it kept getting worse. Ended up getting it checked out a week before the season was over. And got diagnosed. But I feel like I didn't play as well as I could have last year, and I don't want to blame that on my back. I don't like using that as an excuse, but I feel like it definitely hindered my performance a little bit. But yeah, now I'm healthy, ready to go.
So for the Arkansas fans who aren't the diehard baseball fans and they've showed up to the scrimmages, watched you, seen you play, for those who haven't seen you play, kind of talk through what can they expect from Tavian Josenberger.
I think they can expect me to set the tone a little bit in that leadoff spot for sure. Bring energy and play loose. That's what I like to do. I like to keep the locker room loose, keep the dugout loose, and bring the energy.
Now, how about Tavian Josenberger off the field? Who are you? What do you do for fun? What do you enjoy outside of baseball?
I like to do a lot of things. I like to hang out with my teammates, hang out with my friends. Let's see, I like to golf, play
You found any good courses in
PlayStation.
Fayetteville yet?
What'd you say?
Have you found any good courses in Fayetteville yet?
There's one that I still need to play. There's a lot of 9-hole courses here, which is kind of weird, but I haven't played a full 18 here yet, but we're gonna get on that.
All right. So we've heard that you're a big leader within the locker room. I can't remember who said it, but they said you were a leader in the weight room. You just kind of get the guys pumped up. What's that all about?
I'd say I like to bring the energy. Especially when we're in the weight room, I like to yell a little bit, get the guys pumped up. But yeah, I'm kind of a louder guy, I would say, in the locker room. So I guess it comes with that.
All right.
So I want to circle back to something you said earlier. Just the journey to Arkansas. It seems like there are a lot of guys from the Kansas City area, and it seems like that theory was cemented yesterday after the scrimmage. There was a little tomahawk chop going in the post game huddle. Do you guys have like a little Super Bowl watch party or anything? All you guys from KC?
We had a couple people over at our house, and then I feel like there was pretty much 2 different watch parties. I couldn't watch it with too many people because I was stressing pretty much the whole game. So, yeah, we had a couple people over though. It was fun. It was a good win.
Who'd you have over?
We had Mason over. We had Jace over. Jared, Parker Rowland. So yeah, just a couple guys, not too many. I couldn't watch it with the Eagles fans, so.
Dude, I'm
that.
I'm the same way. I didn't invite anybody over to my house for the party. I'm a Chiefs fan, so it was just me and my wife. Yeah, you're right. It was a stressful game, but I'm glad they won. I don't know if you saw this in the fall. I put out a press release from the Diamond Hawgs podcast. You are the Moneyball guy. And so last year, Zach Gregory, he was on Arkansas. I don't know how much Arkansas baseball you watched, but he was just really good at getting on base. And so if it's okay with you, and I've already done it, but I've declared you the Moneyball guy for this year.
Yeah, no, I did see that. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that title for sure.
So what that means is we're going to have your back all season, and every time you get on base, I'm going to tweet out the clip. So, I mean, it's going to – I love Zach. Zach, great guy, great player, but he never came on the podcast. So I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and just want to throw it out there that when you get on base, I got you, man.
Hopefully it's a lot of tweets.
Yeah. All right.
On that topic, I'm curious, where does Moneyball rank on your list of baseball movies?
It's definitely top 5, maybe top 3. Up there with like 42. Major League. I'm a big Major League guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. It's definitely top 5. It might. Yeah, it's top 5. We'll stick with that.
Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. Let's talk about this team though. We've gotten the Tavian Josenberger stuff out of the way. What are you expecting out of this team? Because with Arkansas, it almost seems like College World Series or bust. But how are you feeling going into Friday?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited to play somebody else. I think this team definitely has a lot to prove just because it's pretty much all new guys. But I think we have a good shot to be really good. So
we were talking to Hunter Holland after yesterday's scrimmage, and he mentioned that he had faced you guys like 14 or 15 times in the offseason. And so I imagine it's getting old for him. And you mentioned it too. You're ready to play somebody else. But what have you seen out of this pitching staff that you've seen so many times now?
Well, it's never fun. Realistically, it's never fun facing really any of those guys. But I feel like we're super deep. If one guy's struggling, I mean, we have a whole bunch of guys that can come in and pick him up. Yeah, I feel like, honestly, this pitching staff has prepared us hitters for the season for everybody else better than a lot of teams. So, yeah, I feel like the staff has a really good chance to be top in the country for sure.
Well, so yeah, you have that, but then you have the loss of Jackson Wiggins. How tough was that, for the team as a whole to learn that, he's not going to play with you all the rest of the year?
Yeah, it was tough. It was super tough in the locker room that day. I think everybody just felt really bad for him. We were more worried about him than we were for us and the season, because I feel like we have guys that can step up and fill that role. But yeah, man, it's just terrible. I feel super bad for him, but he's a strong guy. He'll come back even better for sure.
Lightening things up a little bit, the facility in right field that you guys have, we had a lot of players on last year that told us that they had some ping pong games get pretty intense. I'm curious, is that still a very popular activity with the 2023 Hogs?
100%, 100%. Yeah, a lot of ping pong being played in the locker room.
Who are the most intense players?
Stovall's good. Stovall's real good. My roommate Caleb's good. Parker Rowland's good. I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that are good. I think I'm all right, and I probably don't even crack the top 10, honestly. So
you said you're roommates with Caleb Galley?
Yeah, he's one of them.
How's that going?
Good. He's a good guy. We chirp back and forth all the time just for fun, but no, he's a good guy. I love him. I
wanted to ask you about Caleb because I feel like, the Razorback fan base is starting to hear his name a little bit more. But, he's a JUCO transfer. Not a whole lot of people really know about Caleb Cali yet, but I feel like they will. What do you see from him, especially at the plate?
Yeah, I mean, he just has a special hit tool for sure. I mean, I feel like it's every at-bat he's catching a barrel, and he's hitting one in the seats or he's on second base with a double. I mean, it's special for sure. Sometimes I even go to him and ask him to help me with my swing, but no, he can really swing it.
He sure can. He hit one 110 miles an hour, 443 feet yesterday. That was crazy. Now I know Mason said that we're done with Tavian questions, but I do have one more for you individually. Your socks. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're not. What's up with that?
Well, honestly, I just started rolling them up because my pants were big. And it's kind of a hassle to roll them up every day. So I got tired of it. And I just started wearing them down. I was wearing Harold's pants, but they're going to be up. They're going to be up all season. So.
All right, man. I want to kind of talk about in the fall, we met your parents and we were sitting on the concourse and we were talking about Tavian Josenberger, how we thought you were going to be the Moneyball guy. Like, we like you in that leadoff spot. And then your mom turns around and she's like, yeah, I've heard he's a pretty good player. And we were like, yeah, we like watching him. And then she was like, that's my son. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So we didn't have anything bad to say, but it was good that we were talking good about you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about your family. I mean, how happy were they for you, when you came to Arkansas, and are you expecting them to be, around for most of the games? How does that work?
Yeah, they were definitely super happy for me and super excited. I feel like when we walked out of DVH's office on my visit, they were like, why didn't you pull the trigger? Like, they were almost more excited than I was. But no, though, I think they've already booked a lot of plane tickets, a lot of hotels so far. So they'll be at pretty much every game.
Awesome.
I mean, that's
good?
all. I'm good, yeah.
All right, Tavian. Well, we appreciate your time, man. Like I said, Moneyball tweet every time you get on base. A lot. I'm excited about it. So looking forward to it, man. Best of luck this season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to the Diamond Hawgs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Big thanks to Tavian Josenberger. Excited to watch him play. Excited to be able to continue the Moneyball clip with Tavian Josenberger.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
It lives on. All right, so Friday we're going to talk pitchers. We're going to preview the College Baseball Showdown. We're going to be going to the College Baseball Showdown, courtesy of Matt Morris State Farm.
Hopefully you'll listen on your way to Arlington.
Yes, if you are going, make sure you have State Farm insurance, because State Farm is going to be covering us as we're traveling, and we're thankful for Matt Morris and Matt Morris State Farm. The number is 501-568-3222. They don't just have car insurance, they also have life insurance to make sure you cover all those things that you love and cherish. So call Matt Morris, get set up with State Farm, great rates. He'll give you a quote. They'll hook you up, 501-568-3222. All right, Christian, I'll let you get 2 questions in, or statements, whatever you want.
Okay, cool. So I have some more around the SEC topics that I wanted to bring up. First of all, the 10-run rule after the 7th. What are your thoughts on that?
Dumb.
Okay.
I get the premise, like you want to save arms, but it's a 9-inning game. I'm a baseball purist. I don't know what to say.
Robert's a baseball purist. I'm a married man. Getting home sooner would probably help.
Yeah,
Robert's a baseball purist. If it was a 10-run game in the 7th inning or after the 7th inning, I wouldn't be upset if they called it.
That's the thing, is like once we get to that point, then maybe I'll reevaluate my stance.
Yeah.
But as of now, I'm like, I'm with Dave Van Horn. I like regular baseball.
Yeah.
do they kind of already do that with the midweek stuff?
No.
They can, it can be consensual between the two head coaches.
But it rarely happens.
Right. Like they have to agree to it before the game starts, I think.
Yeah.
Like if there's weather that's coming in or it's getaway day or whatever, something like that.
Okay, thanks. And then the other thing I want to talk about is our first road matchup besides the showdown is at LSU, like we talked about on national TV for that whole series, it looks like. What are your thoughts on Tommy White and Paul Skeens, right?
Dude, Paul Skeens, who, I mean, I'll admit I was one that was convinced he was going to come to Arkansas. I thought he was.
I had a story written in the event that he did.
And then he goes to LSU. The Tigers are loaded. It's going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, it is.
You just hope that Arkansas has their pitching figured out by then.
Right. Which, that's more than a month into the season. You would hope they will.
The box.
It'll be week 2 of SEC play.
The box.
I'm excited to go to the box.
Go into the box. The box.
All right, that's all I got for today. I'm just excited to be back in studio with you guys and looking forward to the season. It's gonna be a fun one, and not to get too depressing, but we're not really sure. I guess, moving after this season, what's gonna happen with the podcast.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
But by the way, I guess we should just go ahead and tell everybody, like our loyal listeners who are still listening right now, Robert, you're not going to be here in the postseason.
Yeah.
The heck am I going to do?
Yeah.
I can't do this with Christian.
Yeah, I know. I can't do it just Mason. I need Robert here to help keep us grounded.
Robert provides the stats.
That is true.
It's true.
I can't look. I cannot be the nerd. I just can't. No, I'm not saying like. I'm saying like actually, it's not because I don't want to. Like I cannot. That's just not me. Like
I understand.
I don't do it. Maybe Hutch doesn't work for us anymore. With us, I mean, Hutch never worked for us.
We'll cross that bridge when it comes.
It's gonna be you and me, Christian.
Yeah. It'll be fun. We'll figure it out, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'll miss Robert for sure. I don't know about you, but
hey, look, I still have some loopholes that I will attempt to jump through to stick around, at least from afar. But we'll see. I suppose Mason has to consent to that first.
Yeah.
He seems not too keen on the idea, so.
We'll see. There's a lot of baseball to be played until then.
Exactly.
So, tell your friends. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Leave us a review. Send us DMs if you want. Like I answer my DMs. I'm at Choate Mason on Twitter. He's at drstew32 on Twitter. Christian, are you just Christian Cheatham?
I don't know. Chris Cheatham, I think. I don't.
Oh,
I'll have to look at it.
And we also have the Diamond Hawgs Podcast Twitter account. You can DM us there as well, at Diamond Hawgs Pod. That's HAWGS. Okay. Until we talk to you on Friday, make sure you're going to HawgBeat.com. We'll have all that baseball coverage for you. Everything that you miss if you're a diehard Razorback baseball fan, make sure you go to HawgBeat.com. Okay. Talk to everybody on Friday.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hawgs Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at DRStew32.